came to Warsaw for the first time in 2010, I think somehow 1 year ago, I knew absolutely nothing about Poland and about folk culture in Poland. So I had the chance to get private tour of the ethnographic museum and to see the collections and also the archive of the costumes and the paper cutouts. And what I saw was really made a strong impression on me, because the folk, for example, costumes are mostly pieces, that were made in the 19th century by local people who sometimes had very limited means, and what they were able to make, to produce, to weave, to stitch, to embroider, looks absolutely completely amazing, especially today, because I think today we live in a kind of completely contrasted world, and people don't have the time anymore to, first of all, they don't have the time to make these objects, but also the craft disappeared, because it was also, I suppose, some kind of tradition. So this is really interesting, because if you look at those folk costumes today, some pieces really can be seen as really couture pieces. And this is particularly striking. So to just this movement, to take something that was before folk and maybe a little bit pejorative, I don't know how to say, with a maybe not a very positive connotation, and then today you can look at it as something which is really precious and which is also, yes, a kind of something that reflects the world that actually does not exist anymore. And I think about the most interesting objects maybe in the collection would be the ones that are connected to the wedding ceremonies, because of course they are the most extravagant in terms of abundance of decoration with flowers, colorful ribbons. Yeah, they're really very beautiful, very interesting, and at the same time it's very kitsch if you look at them today, because of course there is a lot of decoration, there is an abundance of decoration, and it looks sometimes like this decoration is taken from a Christmas tree. And this again is a contemporary way of looking at things, because people in that time did not put the type of decoration that we put today on Christmas trees. So it was just a way to make a kind of tree of richness on a hat. And then the hats have a very strong, I think, symbolic function, that they are actually also marking a very important stage in one's life. The bonnet, those types of hats are really interesting, because at the same time they are made with this huge amount of decoration, and they also have a lot of height. And this is also somehow symbolic to the connection also with the upper world, actually, what's happening, so that your mind gets above or stretched, or in communication with some kind of spiritual and religious themes. So this is why, again, when you take a look at a collection of ethnographic museum, really looking attentively, you see that it's really very diverse, and it has nothing to do with, I don't know, a more traditional fixed image of folk that you can see as if you were going to Sepelia, for example, or, I mean, if you look, for example, at pictures of Mazovshe and all the folklore dance groups from the 50s, the 60s, and the whole communist times, because I think that was just one small part of the more very big and diverse species of costumes. I think it's somehow like species. It's a little bit like animal or vegetal species, especially when you look at them in a museum. It's like they don't exist anymore. People don't wear those outfits. And so you are really like watching some kind of very colorful insects when you have a look at those costumes. Today, many people think maybe that a costume designer is, of course, always working in a team, in a group with a scenographer, with a director. But I also like very much this idea that you can also have a designer who is also an artist and who is actually working on somehow showing his own world, or proposing a kind of alternative vision. And I think that this is really interesting. I think that because for most of people today think that a designer should be just only following the ideas of the director and just being there with a pen and pencil and transforming the ideas of the director into reality. But I think also that there is another approach, like people, I don't know, like, for example, I know Leon Bakst, who was the great costume designer of the Ballet Russe, was also a painter and was also very much connected with all different types of art forms. And this is very important if you want to make something new. Also, I'm making some kind of experimental way to present costumes by means of performances. That means that I am also conceiving costumes as some kind of sculptures, and then these sculptures, they are staged during short performances. So it is a way for me to explore all the potential of the theatrical potential of the costume, the sculptural potential, the relation with the space, and I think the language of costume. What does it mean? How can you play actually with all these notions? A stage outfit and a real folk costume. I think there are several differences. I think the first one is maybe somehow the lifetime of a stage costume and the lifetime for a folk outfit. Because if you look closely at the quality of those folk garments, they were really made to be worn for several winters, several years, sometimes also to be transmitted maybe one generation after the other, or also some parts of the costumes were recycled to the fabric, for example, was used to make a new jacket or something like that. So the quality was very good and the material very strong, so it was made to last. Which is not the case of a stage costume. Stage costume is something very much ephemera, so it is meant to be there at that given moment, and it should catch the light and it should transform the actor, but just for a very specific moment. And probably even if the show goes on tour, it's maybe going to be just a few representations, and then after that the costume usually ends in a storage space somewhere, or also ends sometimes completely destroyed by the efforts of the dancers. So this is, I think, the first major difference. It's this lifetime thing. And then also there is a whole play on material, because of course in a theatrical context you can work a lot with illusion and choose materials that look like precious, but that in fact are absolutely not.
Wigilia czy Bardziej wieża. Nie zgadzam się. Jestem zazdrosny o każdy sens. Broniąc poszłości, przyznając się do bycia Polakiem. Chcę być zajebistą choreografą. Chcę mieć pieniądze, bieda nie jest. serduszka. Mogę serduszka słychać, nie?